Hi there. I hope everyone's having a great day. I'm just starting a fresh day. This is just before work for me. And I just wanted to introduce another story on electric sheep. And I hope you enjoyed this one because I've been toying with this one for a while, this story. And I put in a lot of work on this one. Um, as always, the AI added its own bit to it. It did all the character names for one thing, not the main character or main figure in the story. I came up with all the names for that figure, but let's not spoil the story now. This is The Old Crow.
The Old Crow. The wind screamed across the endless fields of rust-colored grass, whipping at the weathered wooden platform where Mara stood. Her knuckles were white as they gripped the bell rope. Behind her, a tiny bundle swaddled in gray cloth lay still upon the platform. Her child. Her son. His name had been Aaron. The child had drawn no breath since sunrise, and now Mara was here, at the edge of everything, calling for something she dreaded. She pulled the rope once more, and the bell let out a hollow, resonant toll. Its sound carried far, scattering the grasses, stirring the poles that dotted the horizon. On each pole sat a crow, silent, unmoving until the first one squawked. The next crow called, then the next. A cascade of cries spread out in a haunting ripple, a message flowing far farther than Mara could see. She turned her gaze to the skies. Even as she clutched at hope, fear churned in her chest. He would come. Many miles beyond the village, where the land sloped to a barren valley, the vast network of crows converged. In the heart of the desolation, they gathered, beaks opening and calling into the stale air. Here, amidst ruin and decay, stood him, a cloaked figure, towering, inhuman. His form was draped in black feathers, cloak-like wings folding unnaturally over his body. Where a man's face might have been was a great beak of ivory, old and scarred by time. Above it, two massive synthetic eyes, smooth, luminous domes, reflected all and revealed nothing. The crows around him stirred, waiting, and when the message reached him, he moved. The old crow spread his wings, black as night, and took to the skies. Mara saw him before she heard him. The shadow stretched long across the fields, swallowing her and her child in darkness. Wind howled, carrying with it the sound of beating wings. When he landed, the earth trembled. Mara fell to her knees, trembling. The old crow loomed over the platform, his artificial eyes humming faintly as they regarded the still child. He crouched, folding his wings as if to shield the bundle from the wind, and extended clawed mechanical fingers to brush the child's forehead. His voice, when it came, was hollow, resonant, a voice pulled from deep chambers beneath the earth. This is not one for my kingdom. Mara's eyes snapped open. What? Her voice was a strangled whisper. The old crow tilted his head, the beak clicking softly. Your child is beyond death's reach. His ailment does not belong to me. No, Mara screamed, clutching her head. No, you have to take him. You are the king of death. You must. The old crow made no answer. Desperation overcame her grief. She scrambled to her feet, stumbling away from the platform, her eyes wide with terror. She turned and ran, her sobs carrying on the wind as she fled the creature. Behind her, the old crow remained still. For a moment, he simply stared at the small, lifeless form before him. Then, as the wind whispered through the grass, he lifted the child and disappeared into the skies. Mara reached her home as dusk fell, her lungs burning. The small stone dwelling was barely more than a hut, a structure that had endured for generations. Her grandfather, Rillin, sat by the fire when she stumbled in, shaking, incoherent. What happened? Rillin's voice was calm, steady, as if the years had hardened him against such tales. I rang the bell, Mara choked. He came. He wouldn't take him. He said Aaron doesn't belong to him. The old man's face tightened, though his gaze remained fixed on the fire. I have seen him many times, he murmured. The old crow does not lie. When he refuses, there is a reason. A sharp knock at the door cut through their conversation. Both froze. The knock came again, heavier this time. Go away, Mara screamed, her voice cracking. Please leave us be. There was silence, save for the hiss of the fire. Then a sound came through the door, soft, faint, child's cry. Mara's heart stopped. Her hands shook as she moved to the door. Rillen called to her, but she ignored him, yanking the door open to reveal the towering figure of the old crow. And in his arms was Aaron, alive, pink-cheeked, blinking as he wailed. Mara fell to her knees. Aaron! She reached out, and the old crow placed the child gently into her arms. For the first time, the old crow spoke with something like warmth, though his voice remained hollow and ancient. The heart defect that nearly took you as a child was passed to him. He turned his synthetic gaze to Rillen, who sat frozen by the fire. My methods have improved since your youth. I have removed the defect. Your child will not pass it on to others. Mara looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Why? She whispered. The old crow's great wings began to unfurl, shadowing the doorway. I am the king of corpses, he intoned, and my kingdom must remain empty. With that, he turned and strode into the night, his wings beating the air until he vanished into the darkened sky. It was said long ago that death came for all. But on this distant world, 17 generations after the first settlers fell from the stars, death no longer claimed its due. The old crow, plague eater, king of corpses, had taken it upon himself to deny death its dominion. Some whispered he was a machine, a remnant of forgotten gods. Others said he was a punishment for the sins of their forebears. Yet all feared him, for he was a reminder of death's cold hand, even in a world where death had been made obsolete. And still he toiled, unseen and unthanked, healing the sick, curing the broken, purging the weakness from bloodlines. He was their doctor, their warden, their savior. But in the hearts of the people, he would always be the old crow.
Well, I really like the way that one turned out. I hope you enjoyed that. That was pretty much exactly what I had plotted out. And oddly enough, the few details that I left out about the old crow, like the ivory beak and the mechanical claws, were ideas that I had toyed around with myself. But somehow the AI basically came up with the exact same ideas that I forgot to put in there. Um, and so it basically took the thing right out of my head the way I imagined it, even though when I was giving it some of the description, I had forgotten some details. I had told the AI that the character had a beak, and I had mentioned that he was carrying the child at one point, but I never actually mentioned the fact that he should have mechanical claws, and that was, I guess, just spot on as far as the AI thought, because I was thinking the exact same thing before. And I was even thinking about changing the color of the beak to black, but I never said that to the AI. I just mentioned a large beak. And I think they were going with what I was originally going with, which was Plague Doctor mask. You know, like the big beak coming into the mask kind of look. And that wasn't exactly described, but I think that's a pretty good representation of how this character should look, is a large ivory beak going into something of a Plague Doctor mask with the big mechanical eyes. Um, yeah, but I'm hoping I will add more to this universe. But if not, this is the one-off story I wanted to tell in this universe. Even though I think I do want to go into the past of how this world was formed and how it's a strange world that doesn't function the way our world, mostly out of necessity. It's basically a world where the people there didn't have enough resources to function the way we would imagine functioning, and so the whole structure of nature as we know it had to be rebuilt using strange technology and, you know, but at the same time, technology isn't mass produced, and so the majority of people live something of a medieval lifestyle, even though they are settlers from the stars. There's a few details that I don't want to spoil, like when the story actually takes place. Like you assume it takes place in the future, but maybe not. Maybe I just spoiled it right there. But anyways, I hope you have a great day and a great life. And this has been Joseph Arthur Roszell and ChatGPT bringing you the Old Crow. And I wish you all the luck in the world, like I say, and I love you. Bye bye.